Hey everybody, I am Mr. B and welcome to the Loft as always. So fall is coming sooner or later, eventually, we hope, right? So that means soup season is going to be upon us. Now while I make this soup year round because it's got a kind of a spicy edge to it in hot climates and spicy food, right? So anyway, today I'm going to show you how to do a lentil and sausage soup. It's very rustic, very peasant style food, very international. It is one of the first things actually that I ever learned to cook outside of, you know, boxed macaroni and cheese and maybe a scrambled egg. I did it for an international day for French class in high school, so it's been around a while, right? So this is quite a hodgepodge sort of peasant type of dish. It comes from all over the Mediterranean. Let's look at it. We've got a hot Italian sausage we're going to use, right? It's an Italian style. I would not use like a kielbasa or something like that. You need this kind of spicy edge to it. If you're sensitive to that, you can bring it down to a mild, but I recommend the Italian style of sausage, your choice of meat. Lentils from North Africa. We'll probably do some sort of garlic bread, maybe with some French bread. I'm gonna bring an onion to it, beaucoup garlic, right? I'm using some diced tomatoes here with the green chilies in them. It's not typically the brand I get, but you know, it's what they had. And we're gonna throw some crushed tomatoes in it, along with the water that the lentils cook in. And it's absolutely delicious. Start to finish, it is about a 3-hour deal here. But to be quite honest with you, this is one of those things that just sort of sits on the stove and kind of goes while you're doing your Netflix or laundry or work from home or whatever, right? So we'll brown off this sausage and we're gonna develop a really good fond on the bottom of our pan here, which we will deglaze. Sometimes I use beer. Today I'll probably use some red wine. White wine would be fine. And sometimes I don't need to really deglaze it at all. It just kind of depends on how hard I go at it. We'll take the links out. We add the onions, let those go. Add the garlic, let those go. Add the lentils in, let them toast. 10 cups of hot water, and you boil that for about 40 minutes with some salt. Then, while that's going, you chop your sausage up into coins and then add them back along with the tomatoes and you let that go for about an hour or so. Oh, I forget the important part. When you're ready to serve this up, you garnish it with some Swiss cheese. Gruyere is absolutely amazing with this as well. Serve it with a side of garlic bread, and this is a meal. It's super easy. It does take a little time, but it's mostly unattended. It's incredible leftovers and it freezes perfectly. So without further ado, let's get started on lentil soup. The first thing we're going to do is start getting our sausage going. And I'm starting with maybe, I don't know, 3 to 5 tablespoons of water, which sounds a little strange. And I'm going to add my sausage in, right? And then I am going to, we are starting cold here. And I'm going to cover it and let that go. Okay, so my sausages have started their process in the water that we provided for them to kind of start steaming a little bit. Yum. I'm gonna now let this go uncovered until the water fully evaporates. Okay, it's been maybe about 5 to 10 minutes or so, and you'll see that our water has evaporated. I'm gonna just kind of give everything maybe a quick flip. This is where your browning or the Maillard reaction is gonna start to happen and really develop some flavor. We'll add a little bit of olive oil to that to help with that browning, maybe a little bit more. And the sausages will begin to render their fat, but I'm gonna try to help those along just a little bit. Careful, this stuff potentially will splatter. And I'm just gonna poke some holes into the sausage. Now here, we are really just going through a browning process. We're not really trying to get these all the way done because they'll continue to cook in the soup to add that flavor into the lentils and the tomatoes when we get to that stage. Now you can see that we're getting that brownish flavor. You can also see that we're developing a pretty good fond on the bottom of the pan. We're gonna need that. We'll worry about cleaning this pan later, okay? Okay, I'm gonna call these browned, for our purposes here. Look at all of that deliciousness. Let me tell you, this is what you're wanting here. This is what makes it good. So to that, I'm gonna add my onion. And we're gonna give that a go. Get them good and soft, and it's gonna start helping us to deglaze the bottom of this pot here. Get all of that brown deliciousness up off the bottom of that. We're gonna let these go until they have softened. Super yum on that. Now I'm gonna add my garlic and I'm gonna let that go. This is about, I don't know, 4 to 6 cloves of garlic. You know, I'm a garlic guy, so I'm gonna let that start to wake up just a little bit, scraping the bottom as you go. And then I'm gonna put just a touch of red wine into that. And this is where you're really gonna want to try to get in there and get up that flavor off the bottom of your pot. Scrapey, 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 scrape. Now, this onion and this wine and this garlic is all infusing into, look at that, into this beautiful reduction here. Now, like I said, I have also used beer here. I've used white wine. If you need a little stock or something like that, non-alcoholic, go for it. This is delicious with beer, I'll tell you that. Now, we're gonna add 1 pound of lentils to this that I have washed and picked through. This is an important step. You're gonna want to get your lentils toasted in all of that delicious fond and wine and onion and garlic reduction. Let it get all nice and toasted. To this, we're gonna add 10 cups of hot water.
Beautiful.
Then we are going to add, I don't know, about a couple of tablespoons, up to 3 tablespoons of salt. I just eyeball it and we go with something that typically looks, you know, about like that. You can always add salt later. Careful with the salt here, little tip. Sometimes that sausage can be a little saltier than you think it's going to be. So I usually err on the side of caution at this point and add later if I need it. Now look at that color. And that's just from that beautiful, you know, fond and the browning of the sausage. And yeah, so yay! What we're gonna do is we're gonna cover, bring it to a boil, reduce to simmer, and it's gonna go about 40 minutes. All right, while we're waiting on the lentils to come to a boil and do their thing, right? I'm gonna take the opportunity to go ahead and cut up the sausage. I chop this on a bias, and the reason why I do that is because it will actually give it more surface area to float around in the soup and add its flavor. Okay, now my lentils have come up. Give everything a stir. Make sure there's no stickage. Yay, there's not. And then we're gonna bring this all the way down to low. Let it simmer with maybe just the slightest vent. I don't want too much evaporation happening here. Our lentils have gone now for, 30 minutes or so. I mean, you don't really have to be all too precise with this, to be honest with you, because, you know, when it's all said and done, everything is gonna be nice and done. So we're gonna put it together. We're gonna add our sausage in. Hello. And our tomatoes. A can of really good crushed tomatoes. You could use puree. I've used just sauce before, to be honest with you, and it's totally fine. Slowly get everything to kind of incorporate. Beautiful. So putting the lid back on, we're gonna again bring it up to a boil, let it reduce to simmer, and at least another 30 minutes or so. By the time you're ready for it, it's gonna be ready for you. I promise you, I promise you. Let's start on our garlic bread, right? So what I've got here is a baguette, and I've taken sheet tray, duh, and line that with some parchment paper. Hey, the garlic bread, or the bread, and I'm just gonna cut me a piece of this off since it's just me, right? Thank you for your service. I am sure I'll be seeing you a little bit later on. Kind of a slice down the old middle. I've taken about half a stick of butter here with some parsley and some of my fresh garlic from when I chopped it. And I took the butter out like right when we started this whole show. I'm just gonna mush all of that together, and I'm making a very basic herb garlic compound butter. And then we're going to liberally spread this onto our bread. Look, don't judge me. You do you. And don't worry about me. That's gonna be insane. Now, here's a very simple trick to doing this type of garlic toast that I found works pretty well for me. I take it, throw it into a cold oven, right? And with the fan about 350, we go. When it beeps at you that it has been preheated, check it. It may need to go a little bit longer. It may be done. This is a good way to kind of prevent the burning of the bread, if you know what I mean. And you don't have to wait on the oven to preheat. Look at that. And we're just gonna take some of our soup. You want a good bowl, right? You want lentils, you want some sausage, you want some broth to dunk your bread in. Get a little bit going there, and then add a little bit of some Swiss cheese, like that. Top that with a little more soup, a little more cheese. And I don't know, what if we garnish this with just some fresh parsley? There you have it, guys. Lentil soup. It gets no more rustic than this any time of year. It's delicious. Give it a try. Leave a comment, click subscribe, come along for the ride, and we're gonna see you next time, kids. Take care.